There's something remarkable in every family photo album across Canada. Your mom at 27 looks 45. Your dad at 33 could pass for 55. Noticeably, unmistakably older than people that age look today. Something shaped an entire generation's faces in ways we've completely forgotten. When you understand what really aged these Canadians so fast, you'll never look at those old photographs the same way again. Those weathered faces tell the story of the people who built modern Canada with their bare hands. Picture a Thursday morning in February somewhere outside Saskatoon in 1971. The alarm goes off at 5:30 while it's still pitch black. Your dad pulls back the bedroom curtain, and there's frost on the inside of the window, thick patterns of ice crystals spreading across the glass like white feathers. The house is cold enough that you can see your breath in the hallways. He pulls on yesterday's work clothes, still damp and stiff, and heads outside to start the car, 42 below, with the wind coming straight across the prairie. He stands there pumping the gas pedal, turning the key, listening to the engine groan and refuse. Some of you probably remember your dad coming home every evening with windburn across his cheeks. 20 minutes later, when he finally gets back inside, his face is raw and his hands shake from the cold. January, February, March, sometimes April. Nobody had Gore-Tex or insulated ski masks. You had a wool scarf that got wet and heavy from your breath, mittens that sat drying by the heat register, and a winter coat that smelled like diesel and old snow. Keys would freeze in the locks. Snow would blow in under the front door. The cold left permanent marks on skin that spent half the year being tested by wind and sub-zero temperatures. Canadian winter-shaped faces in ways that went deeper than chapped lips. Months of dry air pulled moisture from your skin. Those constant temperature swings your face endured dozens of times daily, from heated house to frozen car to warm store to cold parking lot. Back and forth until the blood vessels in your cheeks stayed flushed and red. The skin around your eyes crinkled from squinting against wind-driven snow. By 30, your face showed 15 winters spent scraping ice off windshields in the dark. The women who stayed home faced their own challenges. Many of you remember your mothers hanging laundry indoors during winter because you couldn't put it outside. The house would fill with damp, cold air. Walking to Dominion or Loblaws with heavy grocery bags, trying not to slip on ice, your face stinging by the time you made it home. Standing at the kitchen sink, washing dishes in steaming hot water because that was the only way to fight the cold creeping through every window frame. Your hands red and chapped by February, but there was always more washing to do. Then summer arrived, and after another endless winter, Canadians went wild for the sun. Those aluminum lawn chairs came out, and people covered themselves in baby oil or Coppertone with maybe SPF 4 soaking up every ray. Before anyone understood what the sun was doing to skin, a good tan meant you'd spent weekends at the cottage. So people would lie out for hours until their shoulders were bright red, then show up to work Monday comparing tans like trophies. The summer sun in Canada, especially up north where days stretched long into evening, was stronger than most realized. More daylight meant more exposure. Over the decades of those long sunny days, UV radiation broke down collagen, created deep lines around eyes and mouths, left age spots on faces. By 40, people had sun-weathered skin of someone much older. That leathery, tanned look meant you'd lived your summers outdoors, the way you were supposed to. Smoking was woven into daily life in ways hard to imagine now. The smell of cigarette smoke was simply part of being indoors. Your dad lit up at the breakfast table. Your mom smoked while talking on the phone. Teachers smoked in the staff room. Doctors smoked during appointments. Every restaurant, office, and public space carried that permanent tobacco smell that seemed completely normal. Nearly half of all Canadian adults were regular smokers by the early 70s. In Quebec, the Maritimes, mining towns, and lumber camps, rates were even higher. The habit left its mark on every face. The constant exposure, effects on circulation, breakdown of skin elasticity. People in their early 30s had distinctive lines around their mouths, crow's feet spreading from their eyes. Every pack of cigarettes over the years wrote its story on faces that aged faster than they should have. The work shaped people in ways beyond just being tired. The Canadian economy ran on resource extraction and manufacturing, real physical labor. Up in the lumber camps of northern Ontario and British Columbia, men were up before dawn in sub-zero temperatures, operating chainsaws with numb hands, breathing sawdust all day. Do that for 15 years and your face shows it. The permanent squint from working in bright snow, lines across your forehead, weathered skin from being outside in every kind of weather. In the factories of Hamilton, Oshawa, and Windsor, men stood at assembly lines in buildings sweltering in summer and drafty in winter, doing repetitive motions hour after hour. The stress of that work, the worry about layoffs, whether the plant would still be running in 5 years. All of that lived in people's faces. Out on the prairies, farming meant long days from before sunrise to after dark. The wind never stopped. Dust got into everything. Spring weather brought late snow that affected livestock. The worry about weather, crop prices, making enough to cover the mortgage. That worry became part of your face. The deep forehead lines, the permanent squint from decades of sun and wind. Down east, fishermen faced the Atlantic's wet cold that got into your bones differently than prairie cold. Working on a boat meant constant exposure to salt spray that dried skin, wind that never let up, physical demands that tested every muscle. By 40, a fisherman's face was lined and weathered, his movements careful and stiff. Healthcare looked very different from what we have today. If you lived in rural areas, the nearest doctor might be hours away. You went when something needed attention, often after dealing with the problem for weeks or months. High blood pressure went undiagnosed. Diabetes wasn't caught until symptoms became clear. These conditions affected how people looked, adding years to faces already worn by physical work and harsh climate. Responsibility landed on young shoulders fast. By 18, you had a job. By 20, you might be married. By 22, you probably had a baby or two. A young father lying awake at 3 in the morning, calculating whether the paycheck would cover the mortgage, heating bill, and groceries. A young mother counting coins for milk and bread until Friday. The stress of keeping a family fed and safe on one income, with no safety net. That stress carved worry lines at 25 that looked like they belonged on someone 40. And when you see the full weight of responsibility they carried, something becomes clear. Every line on their faces told a story. Every wrinkle came from squinting into winter wind while getting work done. Every crease came from worrying about family. Those faces held quiet dignity. They held resilience. The aging you see in those photographs reflects strength more than anything else. Women carried their own particular burden. The work of keeping a household running was constant and physical. Monday was laundry day with wringer washers, feeding sheets and clothes through rollers by hand. Tuesday was ironing day. Everything had to be pressed. Many of you watched your mother iron for hours. The iron was heavy and hot. Cooking meant real cooking from scratch 3 meals daily. Bread you baked yourself. Vegetables you'd canned during summer, meat stretched across multiple meals. Summer brought canning season, days in a sweltering kitchen sterilizing jars. Fall meant mending and sewing. Spring meant spring cleaning, an actual event involving washing windows, beating rugs, scrubbing floors on hands and knees. The exhaustion of it lived in women's faces, the tiredness around their eyes. The premature aging from giving everything to family and home with no time for themselves. The Canadian diet was built around filling you up for work, meat and potatoes, a pork chop with boiled potatoes and canned peas, meatloaf with mashed potatoes, everything fried in lard or butter, salt used heavily. The variety wasn't there. Fresh vegetables meant whatever grew locally in summer, canned in winter. Fresh fish only if you lived near water. Exotic fruits didn't appear in stores. Oranges came at Christmas. The whole concept of eating varied, nutrient-rich food year-round didn't exist for most families. While it provided energy for hard work, it didn't provide the nutritional foundation that helps skin stay healthy. Drinking was woven into social life. Your dad came home from his shift and opened a beer while watching the news. Maybe 2 or 3 before dinner. Friday night meant rye and cokes while playing cards. Saturday at the Legion meant draft beers. Women had their own relationship with alcohol, quieter and more private. A glass of wine while kids were at school, the occasional drink to take the edge off isolation. Skincare didn't exist. There was soap and water, maybe a jar of Pond's cold cream. Most women washed their faces with whatever bar of Ivory soap the family used, harsh soap that stripped natural oils. There were no moisturizers, serums, eye creams. The concept of a skincare routine would have seemed vain. Men used nothing except maybe Old Spice aftershave, basically just alcohol that dried skin. Sun protection wasn't part of the culture. Even though Canadians got intense sun exposure during long summer days, spending weekends at the lake or working outdoors, nobody thought about protecting skin from UV damage. No daily face creams with SPF. If you spent hours at the beach, you might put on Coppertone to prevent painful burns. Most people just went outside and let the sun do its work. Over decades, that accumulated exposure broke down collagen, created age spots, gave people that weathered texture we see in old photographs. Dental care tells its own story. Outside major cities, access to dentists remained limited. Adults went when they had a toothache they couldn't ignore, and by then, the tooth was usually beyond saving. Pull it out. Dentures were remarkably common, even among people in their 30s and 40s. The technology was basic. They didn't fit quite right. They changed the shape of your face and made you look older. Losing teeth does something profound to how a face looks. Your jaw changes. Cheeks sink in. You suddenly look a decade older. That serious, closed-mouth expression we see in so many old pictures. People were hiding their teeth. The photography itself made everyone look older. The cameras, film, and development process weren't designed to be flattering like our smartphones. When someone pulled out the Kodak Instamatic, you stood where told, looked at the camera, hoped you didn't blink. The flashbulb washed out complexions and emphasized every line. Even color photos had that distinctive, muted 70s palette, those Kodachrome reds and yellows that looked faded when brand new. Black and white photographs were especially unforgiving. Without color to soften things, every wrinkle showed up stark. People didn't pose strategically. The photographer said, "Don't move," because the shutter was slow. Whatever the camera captured was what you got. No filters, no editing, just an honest record of exactly what you looked like. Fashion and style added their own years. Men wore structured clothing even on weekends. Dress shirts with stiff collars, slacks, ties, heavy fabrics, and formal cuts that made a 25-year-old look like his father. Women wore polyester pantsuits, structured dresses, thick fabrics designed to look proper. Hairstyles reinforced this. Men kept hair short and neat. Women had perms requiring regular salon visits, those tight curls held with heavy hairspray. Makeup followed trends emphasizing formality, thick foundation, cakey powder, bold lipstick in dark reds and browns, heavy eyeshadow with thick eyeliner. The aesthetic was structured and formal, rather than young and natural. Every single one of these factors didn't exist in isolation. They layered on top of each other, winter after winter, shift after shift. The brutal climate aged skin, while physical work aged bodies. Simple diet couldn't provide what skin needed, while limited health care meant problems went untreated. Smoking and drinking took their toll, while absence of skin care left people without protection. Fashion made people look older, while photography captured it all without mercy. These realities compounded over time, each building on the others, creating faces that aged faster than biology intended. Life demanded more from them physically, emotionally, and mentally than we can fully appreciate today. They survived winters that tested endurance. They worked jobs that broke down bodies. They took on adult responsibilities in their early 20s and carried that weight for life. They had no skin care, no sun protection, no understanding of preventing premature aging. Fashion made them look formal. Photography captured them without filters. And through it all, they kept going. They raised families. They paid mortgages. They built communities. They created the comfortable world we inhabit today. They did it with dignity. They focused on doing what needed to be done, providing for families, being responsible community members, working hard and doing right by people who depended on them. Those values shaped their lives more than vanity ever could. The weathered faces in those old photographs tell stories of strength and resilience, of a generation that gave everything to build something better for their children. When you look at your parents' or grandparents' old photos now, you're seeing the physical record of what it took to be Canadian in an era that demanded more than most of us can imagine. You're seeing lumber camps and factory shifts and prairie farms and fishing boats. You're seeing endless winters and brief summers. You're seeing households run by hand and bills paid through sheer determination. You're seeing a generation that built the foundation we still stand on today. So next time you're flipping through a family album and you marvel at how ancient everyone looks, pause for a moment. Really look at those faces. See the strength in them. See the determination. See the quiet pride of people who did hard things without seeking recognition. Those faces tell the story of a Canada that demanded more from everyone. But they also tell the story of people who rose to meet those demands, who survived and thrived and built good lives despite everything working against them. That's worth remembering. That's worth honoring. Those weathered faces are part of our history, part of our heritage, part of who we are as Canadians. I'd love to hear from you. What do you remember about how people looked when you were growing up? What stories have been passed down in your family about those decades? Drop your memories in the comments. These stories matter, and sharing them keeps this important piece of Canadian history alive for the next generation. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care and maybe give those old family photos another look. The people in them deserve it.